This is Drew Camp, President and CEO of the Council Bluffs Area Chamber of Commerce, here for another one of our candidate interviews going into the November 3rd general election. Today, we're happy to be joined by Fran Parr, who's running for County Supervisor. Fran, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Drew. I really appreciate the opportunity to share who I am.
We look forward to learning more about you and making this as a great resource for our members. The first question that we have is, as you look at the top issue or issues for Pottawatomie County, what do you think those are and how will you address them if you're elected?
I see two primary issues for the county right now. I do think we're going to have a challenge, an inevitable challenge around management through the economic downturn. And I think a lot of that is gonna come. How are we going to handle that? A lot of that is going to come through some very deliberate budget management, but also having some off ramps and options for A, B, and C. If things change, if revenue expectations don't meet budget hopes, then I think we've got to have some scenarios that we work through on that. And then secondly, I really think that looking at growth for the future, beyond this economic downturn, I really believe that we're going to come out of this and we're going to have a different sort of working model for a lot of folks. And I think that that change represents some real opportunity for our county.
And we'll touch on some of those things here in a little bit. But when you look at the biggest issue at the state level, how would you like to address it and advocate for or against it if elected? Because obviously state issues trickle down to county and municipalities quite frequently.
Yeah, and I think we've got two issues. I mentioned the economic downturn. I think that's going to be a pretty serious issue that we're dealing with going forward for several years. I don't think it's going to be a one and done, but we also still have the lingering effects from the flood. There's a lot of issues related to the flood in terms of protections, infrastructure levee protections, folks who are not quite on their feet, they don't have their feet underneath them again yet, that we've still got to deal with. So we've got the lingering issues of the flood, we had that whammy, and then whammy number two is this economic downturn. And that's going to be both of them state level issues. Just talking quickly, something like the flood, typically some of the flood recovery may have different components on it. It may have a county component on it that's got some skin in the game. Then of course the state is kicking in some component of some potential recovery, and then finally a federal component. So you've got to work across all three pieces of your government leadership to get that moving in the right direction.
Yeah, and it's very difficult sometimes to get all three on the same page. So
it can be a challenge.
And as we look at opportunities like you referenced earlier, what do you think is the biggest opportunity for the county going forward?
Well, I'm kind of in the middle of this myself, so I'm going to use myself as a personal example for this. For the last 5 years, I had children 5 years ago and two twins, and I have been part of a decentralized workforce and successfully worked from home as part of this decentralized workforce. I think that we're really pushing the notion of a decentralized workforce. We're really testing that out to the max right now. And I think that change or that potential challenge is an opportunity for Pottawatomie County, because I think it's an opportunity to position itself that it's ready for more decentralized type of work and support. And then as that materializes, be it, let's say, a service industry through ag that's headquartered in Pottawatomie County somewhere or something like that, if we're ready to go, I think we'll have the edge to become more of a resource for folks who are looking to set up more of that type of industry.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because like as you said, with the way things are changing and the updates and different things we've seen with the new normal, it's important that we're looking at options like that. And
yeah, and it's been remarkable a little bit. I mean, let's take some of these large tech companies as an example, who've come out and said, listen, our workforce is going to stay decentralized, until July of next year. And that should be a pretty good signal to the markets on if that's the way they're positioned in thinking. That's private industry, of course. Then that's going to impact quite a bit of things.
Oh yeah, and for example, Google, obviously with the presence here in Council Bluffs, is a good example of that. That's looking out that far as far as staying remotely and decentralized. And when you look at and ways you could partner with the chamber and business community. How do you envision yourself doing that if elected on behalf of Potawatomi County, and that's partnering with the business and chamber?
Well, I look at the folks that are involved in the chamber and that voice, and first understanding, soliciting from that voice, what are their barriers to success? You know, making sure that we're on the same page for understanding what they are encountering, what's again their barrier to success, and working with the chamber, but working again at these different levels, be it the county level, the state level, and the federal level, to getting over some of those barriers. I think there's a tremendous knowledge base and resources at all of those levels, and they want to help. It's connecting those dots. It's connecting those dots to get past the things that are barriers and getting into the growth for the next generation.
And that's a good point. One of the terms I always use, this is now my 9th week on the job, and I use the word conduit a lot. We always are a conduit to connect people and be collaborative and facilitate those partnerships. So I can definitely identify with that. And when you look at the unique skill set that you bring to the position, what are some of those unique skills that you would bring if elected?
Well, yeah, I do have a unique background, and right now it's even evolving even more. My background, my most recent background, had to do with writing a lot of technical proposals and a lot of technical contracts. I did something about, about $120 million worth of proposal activity that I did. And when there was something that was really prickly or thorny, it had challenging technical issues, commercial issues, and even financial issues, they brought it to me to work on, because I had that kind of unique blend. I am an engineer. I think that brings some merit there with the technical side. I think things through pretty thoroughly, or at least look at them from all sides. A lot of engineers, it's pretty typical. I have an MBA. I really enjoy the MBA. I really enjoy the financial toolbox that it has given me. And then most recently, I am a student. I am an enrolled community college student. I am completing my paralegal certificate, and that brings out some of the commercial issues. Really understanding. For me, the reason I got into it was commercial terms and conditions. I wanted to be somebody who would be entrusted to negotiate directly on some of these commercial terms and conditions without having to hand it off to somebody else. That I could basically manage the whole package. But it's opened up a whole new opportunity, I think, for me. And I use myself as an example because I'm evolving on this. There's been changes because of the economic downturn in our family, and I'm looking to leverage it. So I am unique. I have relocated out here back some 13 years ago for some of my engineering responsibilities, and then I got very involved in some of the finance side of things when I had the kids, and then I evolved into working on some of the commercial issues that I enjoy now. So, that's some of the unique skill set that I have. And I'm a mom, like I mentioned, and a wife of a union iron worker.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, that's a kind of a very cool kind of evolution of how things came about for you then.
It is, boy, I can't encourage people enough to keep on, looking around the corner. Nothing is ever done, I guess is the best way to say it. You should always be evolving in some way, and we've got some challenges ahead of us. And with that shouldn't be a kind of like, oh, well, the old days are behind us. It's like, no, honestly, this is going to be something exciting. We have to kind of embrace the change, get ready for it, look around the corner. How does this mean we can bring economic value a different way?
I can certainly sympathize with that. That's something I've gotten the opportunity to do several times in my 9 weeks on the job. The last question I have is, why should voters cast a ballot for you on November 3rd or starting next week on October 5th, absentee ballots?
Well, I do appreciate that this is a bit of an act of faith. I'm not somebody who has the same recognition as some of the Century families out here in Potawatomi County and Council Bluffs and the surrounding areas. But it's a hiring decision. And I hope people will approach it as a hiring decision and say, gosh, I want somebody who I know can be a team player, and I've proved that many times in my past. They can be a team player here. And when I was doing hiring decisions myself, I always looked for the person who had the right aptitude. I wanted to make sure that they were competent and they could handle the role that was in front of them, and had the right attitude. You know, somebody who, again, I think team player is a big part of it. And that is who I am. I really appreciate that the board has to work together, that these elections represent a hiring decision to the board, potentially of two folks. And, you know, I really think that I bring that to the table. I'm somebody who is practical and even keeled and will bring a fresh perspective. So I hope that folks will take a look at me and say, you know, Fran's been around a little bit. Maybe they've even heard my name around a little bit. I was involved in some of the flood activity down south, and got into the news a tiny bit, and hopefully they take a second look and they say, gosh, you know, she's invested, she's doing the right thing, she's trying to help people out, and hopefully that's something that resonates with the residents of Pottawatomie County.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to wait and see once we start here with the absentee ballots, and then we start seeing a few more things you know, come available after the election. So best of luck to you going forward, and thanks a lot for taking the time to be with us today.
I really appreciate it, Drew. Thank you very much.